The Cardinals have solved their outfield issue with infielders, and the Cardinals also just claimed a guy that they've already DFA'd earlier this offseason. And lastly, a couple more news and notes coming out of spring camp. Thank you for tuning in to the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. My name is Andrew Teuscher, and while the Cardinals have been trying to add a right-handed outfield bat all offseason, Bloom has made it apparent ever since the winter meetings when he dropped a little note, and then after all the moves we've already made and the Cardinals felt like their roster was settled, Bloom has still come out and said that he really wants to add a right-handed bat to our outfield mix. And well, Bloom has come out and said that we might have solved our issue and we didn't have to go out and make any moves. According to Derek Gould, we're looking at Jose Fermin and Thomas Saggese to potentially be out in the outfield. He's had this to say exactly, quote, "Both could see time at all three outfield positions depending on how their initial workouts go with Coach John Jay. And there are several Cardinals officials eager to see what Saggese can take a run at playing some center field." So the Cardinals are looking internally to solve these issues. I want to be clear, Bloom has come out and said specifically he still is hunting to add a right-handed outfielder or a right-handed hitter to help solve the outfield issue, and not necessarily just resting on it being Fermin and Saggese. But in the meantime, Saggese and Fermin are the solution. Chaim Bloom has made it very apparent. If he can't make a move make sense, and he can't make a move at good value, he's not going to make that move. So the Cardinals, instead of handing out a contract to Tommy Pham or Randall Grichuk or trading for a guy that we don't necessarily need and risking something for the future, are looking like they are willing to stay put on Thomas Saggese and Jose Fermin until whatever move makes sense pops up for them to actually make, which I think is an excellent solution to try to solve this internally and see how it goes. Hey, maybe you put Thomas Saggese out there or Jose Fermin out there and you love what they provide. Both guys have shown a little bit of flash with the stick at various levels. We haven't really given either a huge opportunity to prove themselves. In the long term, it makes some sense why the Cardinals would do this. Spring training will tell. If you put, I don't know, a guy like Thomas Saggese out there who's never played outfield in his life, I take it back. He hasn't played outfield since he was 10 years old. I don't want to see like I'm exaggerating, like I'm just making stuff up. He's never played outfield before. No, he told us he's played outfield before, but when he was 10 years old, when he was last not good enough to play shortstop, he's been good enough to play shortstop ever since until being in the majors, I guess. So yeah, Thomas Saggese, a guy that the Cardinals are even considering in center field, let alone teaching him how to play either corner outfield position. Clearly a good enough athlete. The Cardinals are very excited to see what the young man can do. At just 23 years old, Saggese found himself coming up to the big leagues last year, and he didn't get a ton of run, and what they saw was lackluster. It wasn't phenomenal, but also wasn't damning for sure. He hasn't played, again, any sort of outfield. He's going to get used to this. And in the 2025 season, he spent a large amount of time between the majors and the minors, kind of split between the two. In the minors, he had a 317 average and a 402 on-base percentage. Very, very solid in the minor leagues, which is why the Cardinals were happy to bring him on up. When he got up to the majors, he was around. He filled in for Nolan Arenado through some injuries, Nolan Gorman through some tough spots, and just popping in here and there all throughout the infield, even some first base. And while Saggese batted .258 with a .299 on-base percentage and a .342 slug. So Saggese's proven he can do a little bit with a stick, clearly more of a contact guy, not a ton of power for Saggese, but he is a guy who can swing the stick a little bit and prove he can play around. So center field maybe for Saggese. Let's see how it goes. Victor Scott II can show him some moves as well as John Jay. Well, Jose Fermin's another option for the Cardinals, and he's at least played some outfield at the professional level. At 26 years old, Jose Fermin was kind of tearing up the minor leagues before the Cardinals brought him up a couple seasons, all the way back in 2024, and then also split majors and minors in 2025. He had a 924 OPS in the minors in 24 and a 913 OPS in the minors in 2025. He's clearly mastered the minor leagues, and even in the major leagues, he's not been bad. At 283, 377, 417 slash in 30 games and 60 at-bats. Bloom called him out specifically and said he's got a good enough skill handling the bat that he could probably give us a lot of value playing other positions other than just middle infield. So Bloom and the coaching staff are both excited to see what Sajasi and Fermin can do for the team in positions that aren't where they currently played. Again, to reiterate, the Cardinals have been specifically mentioned to have no interest in bringing back Randall Grichuk. Tommy Pham's a name that's been tossed out. We were in on guys like Austin Hayes, but he's since signed other places, as well as Miguel Andujar, so it kind of looks like this is where we're going to end up going. So let me know what you guys think. Would you prefer Sajasi? Do you prefer Fermin? Are you excited for either? Are you dreading both? And does it even matter? Because the Cardinals are going to be bad next year. That's kind of where I'm sitting. Let's see if we can get some value out of it. If they can play either position and become Brendan Donovan, hey, that's huge. Playing infield and outfield, they'll have to grow out their hair and get a headband, but I think they could role play Brendan Donovan fairly decently. Maybe not quite to the same level, but worth giving it a try. Speaking of giving things a try, the Cardinals are again giving Zach Kent another try on the team and have DFA'd recently acquired Brian Ramos. Zach Kent is a player that the Cardinals have already claimed this offseason and DFA. The 27-year-old right-handed pitcher has had quite the journey thus far, just in the last calendar year, really. So the Cardinals brought him in again. The Cardinals claimed him in December from Cleveland. And the Rangers claimed him in January, and the Cardinals just claimed him again. He was drafted by the Rangers in 2019, never saw the major leagues with the Rangers because he was trying to be a starter and it just wasn't working out. He was eventually traded to the Guardians in 2025, where they converted him to a full-time relief pitcher. And he debuted in April of 2025, and he went up and down all season like a minor league relief pitcher would. They're using those options to their advantage. And, well, they're kind of up out of service time, and they had to keep him on the 40-man or send him down to the minors and risk him being claimed, and that's exactly what happened. So the Cardinals have found him back in their clutches. And as a relief pitcher, he was kind of figuring it out. Now, in the majors, it wasn't so good. That's the numbers you're going to find right away is how was he doing in the majors? Well, in 12 games, he had a 4.58 ERA. Truthfully, could be worse. We've seen worse. 4.58, not horrible, certainly not good. But in the minors, since converting, he dominated with a 2.84 ERA through 34 games. He probably found himself a spot, the big right-handed pitcher for the Cardinals, to be a good arm out of the bullpen. The Cardinals clearly had this guy in their grasp, and they let him go. The Cardinals have brought over members of the Cleveland Guardians front office as a part of the Chaim Bloom regime, so it makes sense why they were eager to try to get him in and keep him. So we had been claiming Ramos, finally got him in camp, said, nope, we really want this Zach Kent guy. I think it's a move that makes more sense. I don't think Ramos was going to turn much into anything. He was given a lot of opportunity. Maybe the Cardinals could have figured something out, but the Cardinals are clearly prioritizing pitching, and that's what Zach Kent is going to offer. Not as a starter, but as a reliever. I'm excited to see what he could do. Let me know what you guys think. Go look at his Baseball Savant page. It gives you some hope. I do think Zach Kent can maybe be something for the Cardinals, and you can never have enough bullpen arms, especially ones with a little bit of control left on them. Some more news coming out of spring is the Cardinal catcher position is looking exciting. Ivan Herrera was coming off of an offseason injury, one that wasn't going to allow him to play in the World Baseball Classic because he had surgery in the offseason. He's finally been seen at camp actually doing things, working on his throwing, because the big story of the offseason is that Yadier Molina is joining the St. Louis Cardinals coaching staff so that he can help the catchers start to develop, specifically guys like Ivan Herrera, who was called out by Chaim Bloom as someone who didn't get a real shot at developing as a young player. So Yadi is coming for specifically guys like him, and luckily Herrera is showing that he's healthy enough to potentially offer some help. You can see some videos of him out there getting a little bit of pop time out, not going to a full squat, but just kind of firing with the catcher gear on, because that's the main thing Herrera's really got to work on, is that arm accuracy and velocity. He's okay at framing. He's okay at blocking. We all know he cannot throw a runner out at second base. You know who can throw a guy out at second base better than anybody in baseball history is number 4. And he's going to get the chance to work with Yadi. Now, Yadi's going to be in and out as he's going to be helping with the World Baseball Classic and Team Puerto Rico, or whatever team they still have in Team Puerto Rico. They considered not going. But Yadi, this is from Jeff Jones of the Belleville News Democrat. He said Yadier Molina, he says he plans to be in the Cardinals camp for a week before taking off for the World Baseball Classic, and he'll be returning once the tournament is over. And the tournament, by the way, is in around early March. Plan is to be in St. Louis in the dugout for several series, as he was last year, as well as trips out to the affiliates in the season. So that we've been hearing that he's going to work with the minor league catcher specifically. That was the news we'd had. The fact that he's going to be in the dugout and working with Ivan Herrera is huge news for the Cardinals and their hopes of Ivan Herrera ever actually being a catcher. That's very much worth noting. That is very much news for the Cardinals. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you excited for Ivan Herrera? Do you still hold out hope, or do you think he's a lost cause? Yachty will save us. Hold out hope. He can do it. If nothing else, just give him a bunch of the sticky tack that made balls stick to your pad. I mean, that'll make him excellent at blocking pitches. So if he can't throw, I mean, he'll still have a superpower in that. Thank you, Yachty. Last bit of news, Cooper Jerpy, remember the name? He was the Cardinals' 2022 first-round pick who was, before the Chaim Bloom era of acquiring pitchers left and right, was one of our top pitching prospects. And not just because our pitching prospects stunk, but he was actually showing real promise. And again, as a first-round pick, I'd hope he was one of our top prospects. But Jerpy is kind of starting to make his way back. Unfortunately, in 2024, he was shut down in the middle of the season due to some arm injuries that they thought could heal, but then they had to announce in April of 2025 that he needed Tommy John surgery, which so many young players are going through this lately in baseball. But Jerpy had his surgery. We knew he'd be back in 2026, and luckily he is seen on the mound throwing baseballs. Jeff Jones came out and said that it was certainly not full effort, but that he was able to get on the mound, repeat efforts, and that he will be, quote, working on throwing bullpen next week. If not full effort, at least some light work in the bullpen. So Jerpy could be on his way back. I don't think there's really a shot that Jerpy makes the big league roster out of spring because he has to come back from injury and then pitch well enough to then make camp. So even if he gets back, he's probably not going to be very good. He's got to ramp his arm back up. But this really puts Cooper Jerpy in the possibility of making the team probably late into the summer and into the fall, which is just more depth that people haven't even been talking about for the St. Louis Cardinals pitching, which is not looking promising by any means. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be good next year, but in terms of depth and young, exciting arms, the Cardinals are really starting to stack talent. Jerpy had a 3.38 ERA in his one minor league season with 127 strikeouts to 53 walks through 93 innings. 127 strikeouts in 93 innings. Yes, please, from a starter. I have big hopes for Jerpy. I hope he can come back. The Cardinals pitching could be better than people think this year, as I keep saying, but at least in the future, we've got arms we can actually look at and say, hey, something is here. Let me know what you guys think about all of this and more in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe. We're going to get to 1,000 subscribers before opening day because you guys are awesome. And I really appreciate you listening, taking this small page and making it something more. Thank you for tuning in to the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. I appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget to tell a loved one, go Birds.